In the vast ecosystems that colonize around the world, it's not too far-fetched to assume that there may be some unexpected problems. In the case of the ecosystems, these problems arrive in the form of invasive species, plants and animals that have found their way into our shores one way or another, and who have made quite a serious mess of things. In today's video, we're going to talk about one of these invasive species, the Phragmite, and its impact on the lives of our country's wildlife. So what is this thing? I'd say that's a pretty good place to start. Phragmites, also known as the common reed, are an aggressive wetland grass that outcompetes native plants and displaces native animals. Because of its height and its distinctive, fluffy seed heads, Phragmites are easy to spot, and while they are considered an invasive species, genetic studies have confirmed that there is, in fact, a native variety of Phragmites along the eastern seaboard of the United States. But in most other places, this little guy doesn't fit in too well with the rest of the ecosystem. So it seems like Phragmites aren't the most fun to be around, but their impact on nature is much worse. On the visual side, Phragmites can grow up to 18 feet tall, obscuring the views of landowners and just about anyone else trying to see past them. Walking just a few feet in the areas where Phragmites grow can be quite difficult because, at full size, these things are exceptionally dense and tall. And on top of that, Phragmites can also be relatively dangerous, as the vegetation can actually cut your skin, which is never a good time. Phragmites are also known to reduce native fish and wildlife populations, as well as limiting recreational values for birdwatchers, walkers, naturalists, boaters, and hunters alike. And to go even further, these plants grow very rapidly, making the act of getting rid of them quite the chore. Good lord, that's a lot to take in. For doing this much harm, one would have to wonder how these plants even got here in the first place. Well, I've got an answer for you. Phragmites grow very quickly in disturbed wetland areas, such as degraded salt and freshwater marshes, along with streams, lakes, ponds, and roadside ditches. They usually act as an indicator of a wetland ecosystem that is out of balance. For example, when commercial or residential landowners expand their paved roadways and parking areas, negative impacts can be felt in downstream wetlands, where these irritating plants can thrive. Any of these seemingly small-scale actions by developers and landowners can gradually reduce tidal influence, increase runoff, reduce water quality, and encourage the establishment and spread of Phragmites. So it seems like we found out the culprit, which is, unfortunately, ourselves. But if we can have a negative influence on the environment, there's nothing that says we can't make a positive change in return. So let's see what some of Michigan's best and brightest have to say about getting rid of this invasive species. Roll the tape!
I don't know what y'all are talking about, but I think they're beautiful.
You can't shoot the goddamn geese because of the fucking Phragmites in my damn way. Just wanna fucking shoot them.
Great effort, guys, but I've got some, less psychotic answers for you. There have been many different methods of Phragmite control, including mowing, disking, dredging, flooding, draining, and grazing. But these can sometimes make the problems even worse, as the Phragmite roots are often left intact. The most successful Phragmite control treatments, that we know of anyway, have centered around the application of an aquatic herbicide, followed by burning the roots and stalks to prevent regrowth, which can lead to some noticeable improvements in pond conditions for indigenous species and migratory birds. So, in a weird way, I guess our little arsonist here was onto something. Who knew? So, while these plants can be quite the pain, it's nothing that a little hard work and creativity can't handle. And yeah, that's the Phragmite, one of many invasive species that are causing quite a ruckus throughout the world. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and as always, keep on keeping on. Take it easy, everybody. This is B Squared, signing off.